radio, and we outside here, so we may have some distractions with it. And regardless, we are moving forward.
Hello. Thanks, Bart.
Thank you. This is Neil Ryan Dumra, who has, you started doing cacao or having a cacao business, what, 15 years ago,
No,
something like that?
28. I had a brick and mortar, started a brick and mortar in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's moved fast. I've known him much of that time. But you've also been kind of a pioneer in Indiana Jones type of finding great foods because there's a big concern these days about food. We live in the United States, or, I was in France where all of this amazing food that's organic, get it just down the street from a farmer down the road. You know where it's coming from. You might have met the sheep before you bought the cheese, things like that. But in America and other industrialized countries, that isn't happening. So we're always searching for what is the best food because there's a lot of distractions in the food world that can kind of mess with their body. And so you've been out there finding the best products, and particularly cacao. And maybe where to start with cacao is thinking about, well, why is cacao so special?
Yeah. So, cacao for me became special because um, there was a time in my life where I had gone through some physical trauma, and in my day to day, I couldn't drink the normal coffees and teas. And I happened to stumble upon some really nice ceremonial cacao. Ended up running through the jungle, had this amazing experience, became coherent. Um, and then from there, I realized this was a superfood that had not been shared in a way that I thought was done with that same concept, food being medicine. So, yeah, go ahead.
And we're talking about cacao that's ceremonial cacao, not what you would get in kind of an industrialized farm where the cacao beans are this big. But when you get into ceremonial cacao, they're this big. They're a totally different product that's connected to the earth. To me, it's one of the power uh, plants in nature. I mean, some plants have much more power. Like when I think of a rose, I think of something that is energetically powerful. It opens people up. There's other ones with that, but cacao is one of those.
Yeah, and it's not just the cacao, it's the genetics behind it, the people who are caring for it, the nuances that they have, the intimacy they have. It's like, in America, a lot of people own their houses and they live in their houses, they raise their family. Some people have lucky enough to have a farm or a garden. And in that intimacy, we get to know the things we own. And in these specific places, I've noticed that the tribes, the Kogi, the Arhuaco, the different Mayan people, they live in nature as we do in our houses. And with that intimacy, you get a perspective, a lens, a wisdom of how to nurture those plants in a way that creates food being medicine.
Yes, because it's directly connected with the earth.
Exactly. And in that, there's no distortion. There's not a reason to quickly turn that food and medicine into a dollar. There's more of a gestation period and a resilience that I call like beyond survival. That's in the creation energy. And in that creation energy, we get the hues of cacao. We get the colors, the different varietals. We're not just creating one strain for one season, for one customer, for one monopoly. We're creating a color of life, a palette that each farmer gets to take pride in. Each family gets to take a different type of initiative. And it creates sustainability not from I have this amount and I can survive this amount from this economy. It's a belief in the creation of life. It's
Mm.
beyond what we think when we are quickly trying to create something and quickly trying to sell something. It's beyond the transaction. And a lot of people are doing this type of concept. There's not a lot of people who are executing it properly. And uh, in the ceremonial cacao, what makes it differently is the fermentation process, the process of sun drying, the process of stone grinding, and allowing all the elements to grow around in a symbiotic way. So there's love that is being felt, and you can feel the soil when you consume it,
Yes,
and that's what makes the difference.
it really does. And I've been around raw materials like the cacao bean itself, but also at my home, I have a ayahuasca vine. I have, of course, roses. And comparing the three, they all have this power within them that when you touch them and you meditate with them, and if you're an extra sensitive like myself, you go into their reality. And yes, ayahuasca has this connection with the forest that is immensely powerful, almost like it connects to all plant life. Very powerful. Roses connect to higher beyond us. I think that's why when we have saints like various saints and Mother Mary, roses is often associated because that transcends into that reality. Roses have that special talent. When I go into cacao, it's more like in a fairy garden, almost as if it's being fed by the starlight itself. And it's a connection to this bigger magical reality. And so, Neil has been seeking to find that type of product, but also not only for his own shop, but also bringing this out to a community. And it's just one representation. I mean, we have all of these other types of foods that kind of fit into that category that people are wanting to expand on and grow and have a renewal of earth.
Yeah, it was really special too. While I was in Colombia recently, I got to experience coffee, really good coffee. And for many of my most of my life, I avoided coffee. There was a time where I had abused coffee and I quit coffee for 20 years. Now I'm 40 years old and I started drinking really high quality, fresh coffee, organic coffee, and coffee that has been loved, that is fresh, that has been created with a lot of love. Actually, is to me in doses can be really healthy. And I've been mixing it with my cacao too. But what I realized is, when we start moving in this direction of omniscience or omnipresence, we're no longer like fighting anything. And that's kind of what we consider spirit. Spirit
Yep.
cannot fight anything. It can only encompass and engulf, and like it's almost like a hug, right? And I think about cacao that way too, and why it creates coherence and why it softens the tissue and the fascia, creates blood flow. And directionally speaking, it literally it's the heart, right? Um, and and I think that we as humans are getting into a place where we understand what palpable compassion can feel like, and we're all looking to experience that. It doesn't have to be going into the jungle. It has to just have that experience where you can trust your cup. And I can say this: I just bought an RV. I traveled 6,000 miles across America, and it was so hard to experience what we are sharing here at Third Eye. That feeling of trusting your cup.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's something I'm really excited and I'm proud to experience now. Third Eye again.
And it's a growing consciousness, really,
Yeah, yeah,
that more people have that reverence for what they are growing. And we're talking about the whole organic world out there that is popping up in just a variety of ways all throughout this country, America, but also other countries. And this show is called Becoming Quantum Conscious. And you're thinking, well, what does food have to do with consciousness? And in some ways, it has everything to do with consciousness.
everything. I truly believe it has everything to do with consciousness, and all food has a vibrational field to it. So when we think of food being medicine, or even medicine being medicine, it's like the approach we have with it. And so it's like a vibrational field. If we're going down a path of duality, we're always fighting something. But when we're whole, we consume whole plant-based foods or even whole animals in a way that's symbiotically been killed or created, it has a different essence and a vibrational communication that happens internally in our body, in our digestion, in our gut, in our microbiome. If you have a good meal, even if it's a shared meal or a solo meal, and it's consumed with intention and grown with intention, hours later, days later, you'll feel the resonance of what you've just consumed.
Yes.
Especially if you're paying attention to it. I recently had food at a restaurant that I would never go back to, and it was for days that me and my partner experienced what it was like after post-consumption, and that's it. Like
Well,
I think that's really important to feel your food.
and it's not like being a super sensitive psychic type, but more like if you're eating really healthy food day in and day out, when you eat something that isn't right, that's way off, it makes a big difference.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. And I even say, there's a lot of people who eat for aesthetic. There's people who eat for, for their morals.
mhm.
Um, and I think all of it is fine. I also think that if you're consuming from a place of feeling, like your inner emotional body, if you're sensitive in that way, you're going to consume based on like how you want to purchase, who you want to buy from. There's so much that even
Exactly.
food, when it gets touched by a farmer or by a producer, the intention around they have around what they have around it. There's so many things.
I was just thinking about a restaurant that I won't mention names, but it's in my neighborhood. Of one of them is a very popular restaurant that everybody goes to, and they have what's supposed to be the best grain-fed hamburgers in town. But when you look at the staff, none of them look happy. In fact, they've made comments to me like, "Well, this place really bites," you know. And the lady's looking at my hamburger and she's talking on the telephone at the same time. She's examining it, and you're thinking, "Well, that's not a lot of care." Then there's another restaurant that has a very Latin staff. They're very focused. They're kind. They don't talk a lot. They just keep pushing out those burgers, but they seem to have a harmony amongst them. And I always buy those burgers as opposed to the shishi burgers, because just because of the staff, it makes a world of difference.
Energy, it's super
It's
important.
energy.
Yeah.
When you talk about coherence, though, want to go back a little bit to what you were talking earlier. When you were talking about coherence and that cacao softens the artery glands, and of course that prevents heart attacks and various things like that. But all of these things, you were talking more in a body functioning perspective about how all the parts work better, but also there's a coherence of more light in your body, something lighter that is comes from a very organic place, uh, like the soul of the earth reaching your soul to a product that is cared for in the way you've been describing.
Yeah, so I feel like there's very few things in our world that we can consume that gives us this palpable essence of the heart, and uh, especially like when you're creating it yourself. I feel like the inner alchemist of anyone who gets access to these medicines comes out. Like we all have a little bit of this Charlie in us, like a little chocolate factory child part of us that wants to create, that wants to play, that wants to feel. And I feel like this gives you that essence, and also you get that home run feeling when you create something, consume it, enjoy it, and feel differently. You
Yes.
get all of that. You're hitting all the bases. And I myself have been looking for this probably my whole life. When I got in touch with cacao, especially the sacred top 1% of chocolate, it changed my life, where I think I was operating from a doing, like a constant masculine doing. And this allowed me to turn on this other part of me, which I thought I was a terrible artist, but it allowed me to feel like what the essence of feeling like an artist was without needing the appreciation of being an artist. I think
Yeah.
that's what art is.
It's
It's like,
it's embodiment.
yeah. And so it was kind of like, I felt like I was playing tennis with everything in my life, and this allowed me to swim in the ocean of life, explore creeks and little lagoons and parts of my own inner water that I didn't have access to. So I think cacao softens our mind space where we have to be right or wrong, we have to be the judge, we have to be in control, we have to be even alpha of our own self, which it's at times I think it's almost better to be sigma. And what I consider a sigma energy is, you don't take shit from anything, but also you don't give shit. It's
Yeah.
like being sovereign in yourself. And on a cellular level, you tap into that, and your cells start to assimilate to this sovereignty where your intuition gets online, and you no longer try to find the fights. You release the fight inside, and you find the peace. And I think
Yes.
that's what it does on a cellular level.
Yes. And when you drink it every day, it seems to add to that
Yeah, the stem cells.
calmness.
Yep.
Yeah. It's when I think about just how many people it has changed, uh, it's quite phenomenal because it's kind of like a grassroots thing, and at the same time, cacao is spreading. Well, there's more places in Austin that has it. I think it's become a regular thing across the world. Even when I was in France, they were doing cacao in various ways, but they had some of those ingredients that they were treating it with a love. They were doing ceremony around it, and then they were selling it. Just another way of doing it.
Yeah, and there is so many ways, and honestly, I think it's all beautiful, especially when you have the intention around it and your presence is there. It creates a beautiful experience for all the people you're sharing it with.
Mm,
It's a beautiful way to connect, and I'm so excited about the renaissance that's happening. I'm
yeah,
getting connections and connected with so many people who are wanting more and more high quality cacao. And in the world we've been living in the last 30 to 50 years, a lot of the chocolate companies have been creating cacao with just high sugar amounts, high milk amounts, and taking away from the need for high quality.
yeah,
And I say that specifically not to the consumers, because it's us as the consumer on how we create and consume, but that has caused a distortion of chocolate. So I highly recommend when you are sourcing cacao, try to get it from single origin estates where it's one farmer sourcing with one company and creating something with less of the sugars, more of the essence of the high medicinal parts of cacao. So you get to experience what it's like to open up your heart, to maybe play with your hands, to get in the dirt, to go for a hike and go for a walk, to experience nature, to find the nature within yourself, and to learn to trust your biology. Most importantly, we've been in a place last few years with COVID where there's all sorts of things that have caused distortions, and
hmm
we don't need to talk more about that. But food being medicine, I think, is really important, and
yeah,
I think that's a
yeah.
focus that we need to.
I think of that time, and uh, what we really needed was better food, more sunshine, exercise, and to take care of ourselves and not be into that fear, but have trust that if you are happy and healthy with your body, everything's going to work out no matter what, which is a lot of the psychology of what cacao and the opposite of cacao. Like, let's just say, for example, you are on a steady diet of processed foods. That would have a lower vibrational level, and it would influence your emotions to be in more lower vibrational negative emotions if you were raised up with those patterns. It doesn't start them, but it supports a vibration that corresponds to what you had learned maybe in your childhood or something. So you gravitate to what you eat, gravitates to what your emotional uh, outlook or experiences in life have been. And sometimes it just starts to intellectually say, I'm going to choose something different.
Yeah, and I love that. I love talking about the child, the adult, the integration, um, and, and how we can take the shadows of humanity and not blame anybody or anything in a way where you notice the system. There is a system that is not working for a greater good of people. It's not your parents buying the wrong foods. You know, there's less access, and it's up to us to become researchers. It's us to become, finding the tools that we need to create that wholeness within ourselves.
Yeah.
And we have to educate our parents. We have to educate the people who don't know, and the people who aren't aware, the people who don't have access to the high quality foods. Um, and that's why I think, like, when it comes to the vibration of foods and the masses consuming it, it's easy to fall into the shadow aspects of life or the fear of life when you're vibrating with that same kind of consumption.
Yes.
So as soon as you start to elevate, your habits, your food, you all of a sudden can get access to a different perspective. And food goes into your gut, which is how you empathize with life, with yourself. And as you assimilate to the higher vibrations, you get to attune to new opportunities, new perspectives, and with that, you level up. So,
Yeah, it's one step at a time. I've been having cacao at this level for, I guess, 4 years
yeah,
now. How time has passed since I met Neil. And of course, I've been doing shamanic work and all of this stuff and have been resolving tons of emotions. But then you need something that helps that. Actually, I started a little bit before that with a product named Green Vibrance, which is a green drink. It's actually capsules, and I just found it made a huge difference because it vibrated at such a high level, much like cacao. Uh, Seems like cacao is a little more complete, though.
yeah, and I think all of it's good. Like when we start paying attention to what our body needs, and we stop going with the programs, like, oh, let's go for breakfast. Oh, let's go for lunch. Oh, let's have the coffee. Oh, let's do that. When we're doing that, we're actually, we're not thinking from our intuitive gut. We're basically being programmed to consume for what is. And as soon as we start going past that, we start seeing the new opportunities for ourselves to adapt. That's why adaptogens are important. That's why good quality protein is important. That's why our biome is important. And when we start to create movement on top of that, when we start to exercise, we create flow.
Yep.
And that's when our life force energy starts to turn on and we start aging at a different rate. Like our cell death changes, our senolytic cells start to remove. And I think about it just like this. We have to take a dose of a cup of our consumption, and that all of a sudden allows us to hear the music. So, sometimes we may be consuming something and we don't hear the music, we don't see the party, we don't see the play, the child's not alive. But all of a sudden we start consuming something that gives us more life, the inner child turns on, we start to connect some of the dots, we start to release the distortions and the distractions, and that's called love in action. That's when we start to love more often. We start to clean up some of the hatred, the, the demons within our souls and the things that we're not aware of. And all of a sudden, people are thriving. People
Yep.
around us are thriving. Our love starts to thrive. Our heart feels more open.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just one of the ways.
Yeah. It's a very complex process, but one thing leads to another with all of this. I can remember when I started coming here, I was walking like a really old man and had knee problems with inflammation. And I started taking cacao and a thing called golden elixir, which had um, a variety of herbs in it. And slowly that started happening. Of course, I'd done tons of emotional work and I was working shamanically, but it prepped me up for the next stage, which didn't happen until about a year and a half later. I started dancing, and that completed that whole sequence of coming back to a guy who doesn't walk like an old man anymore.
Yeah, it was funny. I remember I was trying to get a hold of Bart to help me with some stuff that I was going through, which he was helping me with some shamanic clearings. Um, and it was such a beautiful experience. We got to share information that was so needed for both of us to experience a new level of life. For me, I was building business, I was in relationship, and he actually supported a lot of those transformations for me, where I got to tap into, my inner child, my connection to my dog, which actually is buried in his backyard. But it was so much of my inner child getting to become an adult and
Yeah.
getting to become more mature, getting to become a successful businessman, and all these different parts of me that got to become turned on. And I got to share some of the things that I needed when I was a child that I got to teach him, Bart, and I got to share with the community in the process. That
Yeah.
golden milk. The reason I created that was, as a child, 13 years old, I broke my hips. I needed all these different tools to fight inflammation, and that specific recipe really helped me keep my inflammation down. Um, and and Bart really helped me with all the different things I was dealing with. Um, from starting a business that became very popular very quickly. I had a lot of people around me that wanted my attention and energy, and I needed focus at that time. He helped me get that. So beautiful alchemical transformation for both of
Indeed.
us. Yeah.
Indeed. It's been beautiful. And wow, what a nice reflection there. Because it all happens in such wonderful ways. And if you wanted to find out how to order this, because you can buy it online, uh, you would have third eye uh,
Third Eye
tonic.com,
Cacao.
third eye cacao,
Yep.
and third eye meditations. But third eye cacao is the best one.
ThirdEyeCacao.com. Literally, we are ThirdEyeCacao.com. There's not a secret facility somewhere else. You ship an order to us. Our team takes care of it. I even write handwritten notes to all my customers because this is something I love to share.
Yeah.
We are going to be on it. I think we are on Amazon now too. You can buy it. Our top products are available on there, and we really care. If there's ever an issue with any of our products, we really will. If there's anything wrong with it, we will return it, refund it, make sure you get the right product. We love what we're doing, and this is a loving company. So
Yeah. They actually ship to France because
yeah,
I've had to receive from my to where when I ran out, I usually come with a big suitcase load of cacao and a few other products, just so I can have that component, because it's helped me every day with that. Um, so we're kind of at the midway point. So I would like everybody to know that you are listening to Neil Ryan Dumra of the Third Eye uh, Lounge in Austin, Texas. We are at Casa de Luz, and we're out in this beautiful little thing. Yeah, I wish we would have turned this around.
yeah.
It's kind of like we see people walking back and forth and all in fashionable summer wear here, which is typical Austin at right now. 2 days ago, they had Austin City Limits or ACL Fest here, and it was pandemonium chaos, which guys like me stay totally away from, rock shows and stuff. But it's part of what Austin is having all of these cool things happening. Also, my name is Bart Sharp, and you are on Becoming Quantum Conscious um, at United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7 and 103.5 out of the beautiful city of New Orleans, Louisiana. We're also on Roku, Facebook, YouTube, and the UPRN Talk Radio website, which most people listening in on there. If you did have any questions for Neil, just type them in because the guy has a lot of had a lot of troubleshooting things that you've done, because we talked about cacao and the golden elixir, but you make up a lot of things, and I have come to you for advice on a variety of things, and you've always given me just very solid information. Uh,
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, we've got a bunch of amazing elixirs. One of them that I'm really proud of is the coherence broth, which is a beautiful soup in a tin that you just take a scoop of, add some hot water. It's great for when you're traveling or flying, because when we're out in these airports, it's like a food desert. And this particular broth has grass-fed butter. It has 5-year aged ginseng. It has shilajit. It has freeze-dried chickpea miso, so it's soy-free miso. I also added some truffle salt, as well as the little flakes of seaweed. And so this thing is super complete. It also has red beet powder and black pepper. And I take this also when I'm fasting, when I'm wanting my body, my organs to take a break from digestion. It really helps my body just feel really like almost peaceful, but also allows me to let go of a lot of toxins that are not serving me. I think
that's a really important part of what a society today is, toxins and how to release those.
Yeah, I think of ourselves kind of in a meditation. And if you can give yourself some space and time from constantly having to absorb and digest and move material, it gives it an opportunity to release and process toxins.
Yeah.
And then you can also add some things that allow yourself to be protected in the process. Binders are really helpful. Even some nice quality oils like olive oil with high polyphenol counts. I just also want to, sorry, I didn't take you out of the picture there. I wanted to show, we're right next to the studio, and this studio is actually a place where Bart teaches often, and it's our third eye yoga studio. It's our meditation center. We've got beautiful gongs from around the world, beautiful sound bowls, a great place for people to learn, to educate themselves. We host almost 300 or 400 classes a month. It's always happening.
It's always changing, and of course, the radio show is my priority. I love doing this show, but it's kind of nice to work with people and actually get to see them such. So I like to take it to the streets. As my whole idea is service.
Yeah.
When you start to get into service, whether for me, the tour business or teaching classes, yes, you do get paid for it, but it's a modest fee. But you give something, and I think that's the spirit of this whole community. Of we have so much conflict in the world, and we're Americans are getting a pretty bad reputation. But when you come to Austin and you get into this community, there's a kindness, there's a cooperation, there's a sharing, and I'm sure that's happening all around the world as well. And sometimes that's forgotten about how we all are connected.
Yes, 100%. I think that it's important that we have deeper relationships, and I think I talked about this before, this concept of relationships and shapes. And ships, like, they pass in the sea. Shapes create bonds and actual patterns on the metaphysical level that allow other connections to be formed.
Yes.
So, for example, my relationship with Bart, or my relationship with the founder of Casa de Luz, has created so many other beautiful relationships for other people because of the solidness and the beautiful connections we've created, the trust, the shared vision, the respect. That's a very beautiful connection that I think creates more love and connection. And these connections can be shared outside of the space. They can be shared everywhere.
Oh my goodness!
We're on a radio show. This is Karen. Yes, we are live at Casa de Luz, and one of my students. Say hi, Karen.
Lauren, hi. Hi.
Yeah. Thank you, hon.
Good times. Yeah, class just got out. So
this is a spontaneous moment, and we should always be authentic with all of what's going on. Love you, hon.
So yeah, and I think that's the exciting part about this village. People come here every day. to experience like the universe from a more spontaneous way.
Well, let's change the subject a little bit and start talking about some of the products you're really excited about beyond cacao.
Sure.
And one of them I want to say is a story. In France, I had a case of diverticulitis. Almost died. Had a great conversation with angels before I almost crossed over, but yet I came back strong. 6 days in the hospital. I get back home, and my body still doesn't feel right. I feel this uncomfortableness in my colon, and friends tell me, "Oh, diverticulitis, you'll never get rid of it. Come back to Austin, talk to me." And he goes, "Dude, you should be using Sylogy." And I started it, and a month, 2 months later, no side effects whatsoever. And it's been that way ever since. Sylogy is amazing, and I still don't know how to spell it right.
Yeah, it's called Shilajit, and Shilajit is humic and fulvic minerals, humic and fulvic acids. They come from the Himalayan mountains, and it's thousands of years of basically life force matter that's been condensed into this resin. It's a resin-like substance, like a tar-like substance. And when you consume it, especially when you consume it in water or even cacao, the absorption is so high. And so a lot of minerals, they're not absorbed when we consume it. This one is super high. And it specifically targets the sacrum, which allows our life force energy to flow better. It's really good for sexual energy, and it's really good for grounding your body. It's really good for your blood flow, and I highly recommend getting a good quality, heavy metal tested Shilajit. We also sell really high quality Shilajit, and Shilajit is powerful medicine. It's been taken by humans for thousands of years, and we are, as humans, in a mineral deficiency. I highly recommend getting on some Shilajit.
Yes, it is. It also helps in your digestive process. And those over 50 that have digestion issues, this will take you off of a ton of different pharmaceutical things that you may be taking or various other products. This one is one of the most amazing. What else do you like out there?
Yeah, so lately I've been really into colostrum. I've been into saffron. I've got a new product that's launching in 6 weeks.
Okay.
It's called Flow State Fuel. And what this is a culmination of all the products I've ever created, some of the best top adaptogens that I've put together in one formula. And it is got really high quality organic saffron, really high quality mycelium, lion's mane with the mycelium. It's got all the different types of chai spices, organic.
So why is saffron so important? Because we hear about that in cooking, and it's really hard to find saffron in general, and then a high quality, it's probably next to impossible, but yet I've had the saffron and it's amazing.
Yeah, so saffron is just a super antioxidant. Just the color in the body, it signals the body to basically work on a different level when it comes to healing and antioxidants. And so when you consume saffron on a regular basis, it basically allows your cleanup crew to work on a daily basis where you never have an overload of toxins. So yes, it is expensive, but totally worth it. So we put it in our flow state fuel because basically you consume it on a daily basis, you're going to have this super load of antioxidants, and it brings more color into your body. And we talk about vibration. Saffron is a super high vibration plant medicine, just like cacao. It's like medicine. So,
Indeed. And you speak of colostrum. Why don't you explain to people what is colostrum?
So, colostrum to me is almost like an emotional medicine. It works on the empathic gut body, where it coats the stomach, and the first 3 days that a mother or a mammal has a child, it produces this stuff called colostrum, and specifically it coats the biome. So it nurtures the body to protect the gut, and um, it strengthens the gut field. So a lot of times everyone has some form of leaky gut, and as we start to heal that, the colostrum starts to coat the body to produce the proteins and everything, so your body can start to heal, seal. So it's like the heal and seal medicine, I call it.
But it also teach your your proteins to reenact what you were missing in your childhood.
Yes, exactly. So that's why it's an emotional thing too. It's almost like if you didn't get the breast milk, or if you weren't nurtured as much as a young one, when you start to consume the colostrum, it gives you that essence and that feeling that you may not have had when you were younger.
Wow. And that's amazing, particularly with everybody that starts to do a lot of early childhood work, and they know they have traumas. And of course, all too often in the hospital, we're separated from our mother for various reasons. And we're missing parts and pieces in that scheme.
100%. I think we all have some of that, and even our mothers have some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a collective thing, and I think that's why colostrum is becoming more and more important. And nurturing our gut is super important.
It really is. And you mentioned another one starting with a Z.
Z.
Right after colostrum.
Oh, let's see. I was saying Shilajit, saffron, binders, zeolite.
No. Oh, well.
Okay.
Well, let's go to something I think everybody has a relationship with to some degree, but they probably don't know enough about it, but it's mushrooms.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about mushrooms. Mushrooms are super important. The biggest species of our planet, of anything, is mushrooms. Is mycelium. It's literally the humans on our planet are their directions and habitation is based on mycelium. So it's like literally the largest organism and the most abundant organism on our planet, and it plays a big role in our underworld. I call it the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like in the soil underneath our ground. It's our communicator, and even as humans, when we consume mushrooms, it communicates in our underworld, in our intuition body. So it's such a funny thing. When we start to consume more mushrooms, if you've been in your head a lot, if you've been really focused in things being right or wrong or perfect or organized, you may lose that insight of what you need to be in tune with. When you start consuming mushrooms, all of a sudden it drops you into what you need to be doing for your whole life, not the right now life. So I call the right now life the duality mind, and the whole life being in tune with our coherent body. And so when we start to think about mushrooms are looking at our future, they're looking at our past, they're looking at the presence, and it helps us create this whole network of communication that we may not be aware of.
Yeah.
And it's the unseen and unsaid. So
Yeah, it is an under consciousness phenomenon. When we talk about the mycelium network, we're talking about a root system that goes all over the planet and can go, some say, 60 miles deep into the earth in some locations. So communication systems with trees and various mushrooms and all species of mushrooms everywhere. It's almost like a consciousness fertilizer, so to speak, with everything. So when you're eating these mushrooms, particularly if they come from the wild, but even if it's from something that's on the ground, so to speak, not in a greenhouse, it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. And there's the psychedelic mushrooms, there's the immunity-based mushrooms, there's the ones for the brain, there's ones for lung health. There's so many different types of mushrooms, and they have so many different beautiful aspects to it. When it comes to the psilocybin, it's almost like I think of it like we have our biome of what we're used to, what we're normalized. What we consider normal is what we kind of live with and tolerate. And when we start to consume these psilocybin mushrooms, it's almost like a poison. It's almost like it's almost like a toxin that's giving us like the ammunition
Mhm.
to realize what we didn't know before,
Yeah.
and it almost gives us this new world of information that allows us to assimilate our old world with our new world.
Yes.
And as we digest it, as we process, we find comfort in our new world. And we got to realize and process that old world for what it is, what it taught us. Um, and it's almost like psilocybin gives us access to what we didn't have access to. And it can be both beautiful and painful and loving and tragic. But it's also important that we get to live out our debts.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
good to process our debts. And
Well, well, in the movie Fabulous Fungi, uh, they were talking about how they're starting to see, well, this is one of the reasons how cavemen were able to break through to a higher level of consciousness because it stimulated parts in their brain that were unstimulated. And that's all good. I think that still happens today. Another part of that is there's so many mushroom powders out there. And I'd like to just give a shout out to High Vibe Mushrooms because I love those guys. Stephen Huntsman, thank you so much. But there's so many mushroom powders out there that can help people that have been farmed in uh, very quality and ways. Just wonderful stuff.
yeah, totally. Um, it's important where we source everything. Soil is important, and a lot of times the soil in America has been compromised, so a lot of the mushrooms are grown in labs now. Um, and if you're going to be sourcing from China, you got to make sure that you've got the right quality sources and know your connections, and making sure the soil quality is there. So,
Yeah, yeah. And that's what some of the more, what we would call third world countries have to teach us is we can get back to this. We
yeah,
can regrow it. We have all the technology and know-how to get better soil in this country. One of the most important things is for consumers to start asking and not accepting crap for food, basically.
that's exactly my point. On this trip I went on, traveling across the nation, it was such a trek to find high quality food. Being in an RV, I actually ended up just stocking up at different farmers markets and different places when I could get good quality food and just making my own. But I realized, we're in a food shortage in terms of quality,
Yeah.
and we as consumers get to choose what we get to consume. And if we don't choose that, we get what's available, and what's available is not medicinal. So I say now more than ever, we use this time when the tariffs are high, when there are these boundaries of consumption to create. And that means, we work on the soil, we work on the water, we work on all the ways in which we can become more sovereign and sustainable.
Yes.
And I've learned that. I went to a place called Sovereignty Ranch. There's a guy named Rylan Engelhart who's part of Cafe Gratitude in California. Molly Engelhart, his sister, they run a beautiful restaurant. And shout out to them. Um, we just served a bunch of cacao from the Kogi tribe at their event, and talk about a beautiful turnout. I ran out of my cacao because people just wanted it. They tasted it, they tried it, and these people could understand and feel the soil, and they literally bought all of it. It was amazing. And then I went to a place called Kintsugi Ranch. There's an actor from TV show Entourage, Adrian Grenier, who started a place that's all about environment and sustainability, and it's so beautiful what's happening right now. This movement is going to create a future where we're going to all want to create a future.
Yes.
So that's the important thing. We're having families, but where's the food for our future? And I think this is the time now to find those places, find your local farms, contribute to the farm if you cannot do it yourself. Find local places where you can build a garden. If you have a yard, grow your own food. Bart's got his own little garden.
Exactly.
And I think it's so important. That is the movement.
Yes.
To be sovereign is to not fear survival. And I think that we get to move beyond that. And that's creation. When we're moving beyond survival, we are creating.
And it's fun.
It
You
is
know,
fun.
it's fun to get out there and do all of these things and create stuff. It gives you more energy than sitting back with your technical equipment or to be entertained by various sources, but to build and creation. That's all it is. That's I think what we all strive for.
I wanted one more thing.
Yep, yep.
I met this beautiful gentleman I know in town here, Alex Zek. He's got a place, a platform that you all can sign up to. It's called thewayforward.com. And you can type in Alex Zek, The Way Forward. He's got a community where he connects with farmers, he connects with people who are part of the sustainable movement, and we all can become a part of it. So the more we create our own communities and platforms, the more we get to be seen and shared. And when somebody comes into your city who's looking for that food, they'll find you, we'll find them, and that's how we get this movement going.
And that's Go Way Forward.
The Way Forward.
Oh, The Way Forward.
The Way Forward.
All right. That's a good way.
Yeah.
That's a good way. I just remember Neil was my roommate for a couple of months, and he never ate breakfast. He had a cacao, and then he's like, "I'll see you later."
Yeah.
And then I learned real quick because he confronted me. He goes, "What are you drinking coffee for?" And I go, "I don't know." And I started drinking cacao, and I found out, well, I really don't need breakfast unless I want to eat it. It gave me all my nutrients and all my energy, and I lost weight. I think it's a great diet plan for people who wish to lose weight and firm up their body.
Yes, and I think the reason why cacao is so amazing in the morning, not just any cacao, it's got to be the cacao, the ceremonial cacao with the fat, because it has the stearic acid that actually stimulates the heart, theobromine that creates the blood flow, the magnesium that helps you go through a digestion. So like a digestive, so like you can go to the bathroom right away. And then it's also a great way to fast because it's got enough calories where you're not consuming too much, and not too little where you're feeling hungry. So it's a perfect balance.
It's a wonderful balance. What's your website again?
www.thirdeyecacao.com. You can spell it THIRD or 3RDEYECACAO.com.
So we're outside, and I had to look up close. We have about 45 seconds for a departing word of wisdom.
Yep. So I would say let's take a deep breath together. My favorite thing about sharing on this platform is every time we come on, we share something new, something added to this concept of coherence, and bringing up the quantum consciousness that we all want to feel. There's a legend being birthed in these conversations, and that's you, that's us, that's this world where we're bringing new information, new ways of living, and I think it's important. That's the more sustainable life when we can be more connected, and I just think that as AI becomes more and more bigger, the more and more we can be connected as people in person. That's why I really appreciate you coming in and teaching here, and also just creating the conversation. So please do reach out. We'd love to meet you in person. Come to Third Eye. Come to Austin.
Yep.
And,
this is the place to be. Casa de Luz, Third Eye Lounge. Neil, it's great to have you.
Thank you, Bart.
On the show.
Thank you so much.
Just to let everybody know that you're on Becoming Quantum Conscious. My name is Bart Sharp. You're on United Public Radio Network and UFO Paranormal Radio Network at 107.7, 103.5 out of New Orleans. And we will see you next week with Kimberly Kind. And I hope y'all have a great day.
It's amazing. I'm doing a workshop with her. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm serving cacao at her event next week.
Oop, we're still not off.
She just text